I, for the last 2 weeks or so, was on vacation. I did a cross-country trip on the train.
You climbed the
Those
mountain.
pics look so nice.
I know they
Thank
were.
you.
And I saw you with your camera. Like you were ready to take some pictures of your own.
Yeah,
you could bury some bodies over there for sure.
I have one for you. Do you mind going back?
Oh.
You had to chop it up a few times, Ashley.
Quite a few times. It's
gonna take you a few days there.
It's a little heavy.
I was gonna say that's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
Little hands off.
What are we talking about?
I don't know.
Bodies in the desert.
Get on the express, man. Get on the express.
Yeah.
Get on
What
that
are we
local
talking
train.
about?
No. At this point, Sheyne is that sick passenger and his train stuck at.
Let me tell you about passengers on the Amtrak, though. Let me tell you about Amtrak. It's not quite a plane and it's not quite a Greyhound, but it is filled with some people that you just, when you put them all together, it's kind of like, you ever watch that South Park episode where they show that like Planet Earth is really just a reality TV show where they just threw a bunch of different people together and saw how they would fight each other? That's kind of what an Amtrak is. We had, first of all, I didn't know like the entire Amish community of Pennsylvania took Amtrak all at the same time. I didn't know they could take Amtrak because I don't know that much about their
culture.
I'm sorry, that doesn't fit with what I've been told. Isn't that a machine?
It is, but I think because
Was it young
locomotives.
Amish people?
No, it was all ages. There were little people Amish people. There were old people Amish people. There were baby people Amish people. There were all kinds of.
Are those all new TLC shows? Like.
So what was funny, but they were kind of cool because like a lot of people on the train, like in the common area cars, would just be like, you know, because there were a lot of like, you know, like, stop the steal people that were on that train too, and they walked up and they were like, excuse me, I don't mean to be offensive, but I gotta ask you a question, like what makes you an Amish? And so they were talking their like Jebediah kind of thing, and they were very like they were talking. They would educate. They would get in the whole thing about the Mennonites. Like, so I actually learned a decent amount, like just overhearing conversations, and like I think one person had an explanation, and obviously it may be different for the different culture, the different like regions of Amish people. I guess that because locomotives existed when around the time their culture was founded. Although it's more modernized and whatnot, they are okay updating as long as they're not operating the machinery. They can partake in the machinery.
Oh.
Or maybe it's also because that they don't all want to pay for that many horses, and like you got to bend the rules sometimes.
It's possible, but in any case, they were there. I had Amish. I had service dogs that were the cutest things in the world. We had people who were hysterically crying because they were saying goodbye to loved ones on the train. We had a vampire on the train who looked like a Nosferatu, who literally walked around with one arm behind him and his other hand like this, and he had nails that curled over. He had long hair, skinny face, white skin. He would just walk up and down the train for 6 hours straight.
Shem was there?
Shem was there. And at one point, I'm doing editing on my computer and whatnot because I'm doing another freelance project. And the train, of course, moves. And all of a sudden, just like, you know when like big nails just hit a table, it goes, and it's like, and all of a sudden, big ass nails. I'm just like, it was just, the dude was terrifying. And then we had another guy who was like, he looked like, you know, I'm not making light of this, but he looked like he was going to shoot the place up. He was this hillbilly guy walking around with his camouflage bags and whatnot, screaming at everyone like, don't fucking sit next to me, motherfucker. I get out this fucking train. And he was walking around, and then we were just like, okay, there's going to be an issue tonight. And it was just, it's an experience. I wouldn't recommend it. I would not recommend it.
Crack facility or something?
Here's the, it's affordable, and if you got to go from point A to point B.
How far was your trip in total?
I went on day one, New York to D.C., then overnight that first day, D.C. to Chicago, then transfer Chicago to Denver, stayed a night with my friend Laudine Balls, who you know, in Boulder with her fiance, and then drove to Vegas, and then the return trip. By the time on the return trip we got to Chicago, we were kind of like, fuck this, let's rent the car and drive back because we can't do another night in these uncomfortable trains where you can't sleep, and the train is like whipping you back and forth while you sleep. And so you know when you fall in your dream? There you go. He looked like that. He looked like our friend Shem, who that is a rendering of. I shit you not. I shit you not. However, Balls is in a world of hurt right now because his second child is slated to be born on this guy's birthday, and so we're hoping that we can say enough prayers and talk to enough Amish people to lift the curse of that. So that's what the Nosferatu look like.
Oh, well, I don't want it earlier. I don't want her to come earlier.
I know. But like, you know when you sleep and you like jolt open because you think you're falling? That was the train all night long. We were like, we can't do this anymore. Maybe in a sleeper car, it'd be different, but not in the
I was
chairs.
going to ask you if you got a sleeper car because I've never done those before. I
It's
used
like
to take the train from Ohio to New York, which is like
I heard those
15
sleeper
hours.
cars are expensive.
they
They
are.
are.
It's a $700 difference per ticket.
Really?
It's like
Per
it's
ticket.
like $275 for
I
like
kinda
round
wonder
trip.
How many people are actually buying them, or if
Oh, they were all booked. They were all booked because there were people literally going from. I mean, the California Zephyr, which is the long train. They had sleepers not from one to DC, but the one from DC to Chicago. But from Chicago to Emory, California, that's a 3-4 day journey. So people are living on that train that whole time. And if you don't have that cabin, you don't have a shower, you don't have a personal toilet. And let me tell you, the facilities on that train
I didn't
are.
realize they had a shower.
Whoa! For the private sleepers, yeah. Like the plan was to get to Chicago, we would have 6 hours. We could go to the Amtrak lounge, pay to take a shower, but all the trains were like 4 and 5 and 6 hours delayed. So
Yeah.
it was just.
That's normally what happens. That was my problem
Wombat.
when I went to Ohio because the train would start in Chicago, and it was constantly always delayed. So
Yeah.
I was getting back to the city like 4 or 5 hours difference every single time. I never failed.
So yeah, so I went there and went to Vegas with the Star Trek convention. I got a whole other vlog channel that's gonna be starting. That will have reviews of all the places I went to, all the things I did. I have hours and hours of footage with my new 4K camera that will come out. I'll promote it when that premieres. But it was a fun time. It was a really great time. The desert is absolutely stunning. My back felt better with the dry air. Amtrak was interesting. I met a vampire. I met Amish people. It was amazing. So
That's-
and now I'm back with
that's awesome.
fine, lovely, beautiful people. And
Okay,
pets.
so
We're vampires too.
all of that, and you're COVID free still.
I am.
For now. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I did have a sore throat and a little bit of a cough. My traveling companion got a little sick on the trip, but I don't think it was anything but a cold because there was no other kind of like sense of smell or taste. But also, we were both vaccinated, so who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
And
We were
they
masked up
just-
the whole time, but you know.
When I did the trip from New York to DC, I was masked up the whole time. It does get a little bit uncomfortable, especially if
When you're
the
sleeping.
car is if it has the right temperature or not. I remember there was one time I was stuck in a car that was just on fire. Like it was just hot. Everybody was really uncomfortable. We kept asking to like move. There was nowhere else for us to go.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't fix the AC. We were stuck 15 hours
Ugh,
in just hot, nasty.
that's awful. That's awful. Yeah, when you're sleeping, it's interesting because like it's just that feels the most restrictive.
Yeah,
when
because
you're
it feels
sleeping.
like somebody, like basically like you covered your face with a blanket, but it's,
I don't do that.
yeah, neither
For
do
me,
I.
It's like,
I like to sleep
ugh.
at night. Thanks.
But yeah, it was, and I will say the convention, like Creation Entertainment, who runs like all the sci-fi nerdy things and whatnot, they did a really good job because at first I was like, okay, convention, do I want to do this? But you had to present your vaccination card to get in, or a test within 72 hours, and that was for days 1 and 2. For days 3, 4, 5, you had to get tested on site. And then you would sit in a quarantine area, and if it came back positive, you had to leave. And if it came back negative, you were allowed in. And everyone had different colored wristbands to show your level of wherever you're at with it, like either vaccinated or negative test. So I felt like that was a good way of doing it, and there was very little resistance, which I appreciated seeing. So that was cool, and I felt safe doing that. And I will say for Vegas, most people had their masks on indoors. I'd say 90% of people, and then outdoors, maybe only half the people. But you do the thing. You're not around someone that's down, and you see put it back up and down. So, but it was a great trip.